Hello, welcome. Good evening. Good evening. I've got George with me. If
Leon.
anyone, obviously the topic of conversation, we all know what a topic of conversation is breaking news from Posh. But if anyone is or was or currently still on Posh and wants to come in for a chat, the StreamYard link I have tried to pin to the Bold Lives and the Bold Finds channels. So feel free to come in for a chat. I'm going to be on for about an hour. First things first, obviously shocking news. I know a lot of people who do Posh. I'm quite close with a lot of people. So Michelle being one, Shell's resells, who's great. Luxury Pickers, Mark picking up Lucky, Sam reseller Polly. George was saying tonight was going to be his first show, which is just crazy. So maybe it's his fault. But jokes aside, I just want to say I feel so sorry for everyone who's been doing Posh, because from a UK perspective, Posh haven't been advertising it, which has always been the worry for me. Thinking to myself, how can you bring a new platform to the market and not pump some money into advertising? And actually, the people who have been making it great, and I've jumped into many live shows, I've actually bought loads of items, are you guys, the people who spend the time getting the shows together, sorting out the shows afterwards. And I know how much effort goes in, because I've had voice notes from Michelle especially to say that she prepares for hours before the show. She does the live show for an hour, and then it's 2 or 3 hours afterwards to pack all the items. So yeah, I just want to say I feel sorry for all of you guys and girls who are in this situation. So George, I guess if we start with you, how are you feeling about it? Because you kind of got to the point of, right, let's go, ready for the live. And it's this all hit. And it hit earlier when you was on your live. I was actually in your live stream when people in the comment were saying Posh is closed, Posh is closed. Like, what's all this about?
Breaking news on my live. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was. When it first started, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into it. It's going to be around for a while. Poshmark is a massive company in America, and it's primarily in America, fair enough. But they did say that they were going to expand, and that's fine. And I was like, it's going to be here for a while, so I can take my time. That's why it's taken so long for me to actually. I put up my first item, I think it was in August. So it's like, but I've been watching it very closely. I was like, oh, it seems quite fun. You can kind of get, it's like the social media side plus the live selling. It's kind of fun. So I was like, okay, I can work with this. And then, yeah, you're putting all your effort into doing your first show, however delayed it may be. And yeah, they just pulled the rug literally under everybody's feet, which is a bit naff. And I've actually been to a Poshmark IRL event, and the people that work there I kind of feel sorry for, because they must have been like, they were in a job. And then now it's like, oh, sorry, we're closing next week. It's like, oh.
Yeah. For me, it feels really sudden, but I don't know who I reached out to. I reached out to someone last week. You know, when they cancelled the event in Bristol, and it felt all very sudden. A lot of people have booked hotels. A lot of people were doing travel. I know when I had the pickers on, they were speaking about it because it was Bethany's birthday as well. So it was going to be kind of like an unofficial birthday for Bethany, who was hot on the platform as well. And then for them to cancel it last minute, and actually made me quite happy to see that, I think it was yesterday when the event was meant to be, a lot of people were still traveling to meet up. And I thought, you know what? That just kind of shows what community Posh has created, where people are saying, do you know what? Forget the Posh event. Let's still go meet up and meet as Posh sellers, which was cool. But I had a little indication last week. For me, that didn't sound normal for someone to cancel an event that close to it happening. It felt very rushed, but I didn't see this coming today. This has completely come out of the blue. So for the people just joining who do not know what's going on, where have you been for the last couple of hours? This is a statement here. I'll just move me and George out of the way. So, dear Poshmark community, our mission has always been to put people at the heart of commerce. From start, we envisioned a vibrant community that would share their style and create the largest network of shoppable closets around the world, blah, 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 blah. And while our ambition to connect as many closets as possible remains the same, I'm sad to share that we've made the tough decision to close 3 of our expansion marketplaces, Poshmark UK, Poshmark Australia, and Poshmark India, effective October 26, 2023. I know this is especially hard news for those of you across the globe who have come to know and love Poshmark. Please know that I'm incredibly grateful to you and the community that we've built together. We hope to be back at some point in the future. This move, while difficult, will allow us to focus our energy and increase our investments in our core markets in US and Canada. And for official information, there's a fax thing there. So that's on their website. Now, the interesting bit to me about this is we hope to be back at some point in the future. Now, I personally believe the way they've done it, it's going to be hard for them to convince people it's not going to happen again. So for me as a reseller, and I've always spoke openly, I don't cross list, I do eBay. I've been on one Posh show with Michelle, and I'll be honest, I had a terrible experience. And George will know this because George actually brought my item and there was a problem with payment. And it wasn't George's side because he was buying things the same day and the next day on Posh. So for me selling my first item, straight away, I'm like, I don't trust that kind of platform. But yeah, George, do you think if it came back, you would give it another go? Because again, you kind of, in a way, haven't had a chance to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, the experience that I've had, like, buying, that's been okay. It's just been like any other platform, and that was good. But like, yeah, it was, I don't know, if they say like, oh, we aim to be back in the future, well, just think about the upstart, like you've literally put in a little bit, well, not a lot of money, but like a little bit of money into starting up, hiring people, getting the best, because I think, wasn't the UK manager, wasn't he from eBay? He was actually an eBay executive and they poached him.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, and so it was like, okay, so you've got these things in place. I mean, is it a server issue? Is it the cost of like running it? I don't know. But we don't know we won't know fully because they were all very like gung-ho of like, okay, we're going to expand and everything, and we're going to go to, Australia, UK, India, all that kind of stuff. And then literally within 6 months, it's gone. It's like, yeah. So I don't know, pulling the rug out. If they've done it once, they do it again. It's that kind of issue. If it's not making enough money, right, we'll pull out until the market's bigger or better. So I don't know. I think there's probably more to come on this story, actually. And I think people who work for them, the staff particularly, I think they're going to have some very interesting things to say moving forward.
I think, as I said, I know when companies make decisions, the statements are normally pretty short. But also what surprised me, George, is when I first heard this, I don't mind admitting, the first person I reached out to was Michelle, and I sent her a voice note. I was at the gym, actually. I sent her a voice note. I said, have you seen this? Like, I'm sure. And I said to her, I'm sure you probably knew. Like, I thought they would have reached out to, some of the people who are constantly on it, who have been plugging it hard, to kind of give them a heads up to say, look, it's not going well. We're going to pull the plug. We'll give you the heads up a few days before or even a few hours before. And Michelle found out, I'm sure it's the same as the luxury pickers and other people, everyone found out at the same time. And the statement there is there's no sort of reasoning behind it. And I'm just going to catch up on the chat as well because I want to say hello to people. So thanks to everyone for joining. Alison's saying her 2 faves on YouTube. Well, thank you, Alison. I'm glad you got the £5 from us both to say that. Where was I getting to here? So Ben is saying here, I bet Depop are rubbing their hands together. So my first thought today was, if I was Whatnot UK, okay, I would be holding an emergency board meeting within 2 seconds of that statement coming out and saying, we need to get a communication out saying, fear not, you Poshmark sellers, we're opening up to clothing. You're all welcome. And
yeah, I would do exactly the same.
People would jump ship instantly. And similar to Posh in the US, Whatnot's been popular in the US as well. So I think if they was to open up the doors, people would jump ship. So I'm interested to know how people plan to pivot on that. And again, I voice noted and spoke to Mark just before we came live, picking up Lucky. And he put it perfectly. Like, we were okay before Posh, we're going to be okay after. It's just at the moment a bit of a shock, and I can understand that. It's kind of like a platform's been ripped out from underneath your feet. But I feel live selling in person, there is that space there if they do it properly. And like Chelsea Rooney saying here, why didn't they advertise sack the market department? I completely agree. If they would have advertised that, it would have flown. I mean, look at Vinted now, George. I mean, their adverts are on Big Brother, aren't they? And Big Brother is back in the UK, and they're pushing hard on the advertising. Like, where was the Posh advertising? The only advertising I saw from Posh was from Instagram and the live shows from you guys, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get away from like a Vinted advert like all last year. They were everywhere, and they did well to pick up the eBay slack. You know, like because eBay used to be so easy, it used to be literally the online car boot. That's how they advertised it in the UK way back when. And like
Mm,
Vinted is the same now. They're kind of advertising that, so they've really picked up a lot of the everyday sellers on that kind of put off by eBay. But yeah, Poshmark could have been really, really good. And it's like when you said when every week I was like, oh, when are they going to advertise? And I thought, all right, okay, they're probably waiting because it's summer. I was like, they're probably gearing up for like quarter 4 and maybe like, it's Freshers Week. People's expendable income is at a high around this time of year. I thought
yeah.
they're going to do something. They must do something on TikTok. No, nothing. Absolutely. And that's when I was a bit,
And also, I know you went to. Did you go? You went to one posh meetup, did you, George, or a couple?
Yeah, I went to the Manchester one.
And that was the last one, I think. But I know when I was speaking to people at the meetups, a lot of people, and I was having a good chat with Sam Reseller Polly about this. She said she was going to these meetups and asking them, so when are you guys going to advertise? When are you going to push it? When are we going to see the TV adverts? When are we going to see the Instagram adverts, the Facebook adverts? And it's always a case of, oh, it's in the pipeline, it's coming, it's coming. And
Yeah.
for me, there was no strategy there to say, well, actually, we have a new advertising campaign, like you say, coming at the start of Q4 to really
Yeah.
help push them Christmas sales. In the new year, we're going to go hard. There was none of that. It was a case of it's in the pipeline.
I mean, just
Katie,
think how much money they're wasting as well. Sorry, I was just going to say, think of how much money they're like leaving on the table. They could have at least waited until like January.
Yeah, I'm surprised it'll be interesting when it does come out, because hopefully it does, but I'm surprised they pulled it now and, like you say, not waited till end of Q4.
Yeah.
Because even with Halloween, I saw so many people had Halloween shows organised.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
people love them themed events. But Katie's saying, just sold my first item on Poshmark last week. So yeah, hopefully it's not the last. And that's what I would encourage people to say. Still be active on the platform until it closes, but just be super careful with leaving your money in there. I've seen a lot of people on Instagram when this has been announced straight away go and withdraw their money from it, and I would be doing exactly the same. But I saw, before I come on, I saw someone doing a show, and bless her, she was still, carrying on, still trying to be positive. But I think it's quite hard to go on there and be positive when this news just come out. So yeah. Emma's Reselling Adventures says, for them to pull out so quick, UK was a test market and they were never fully invested. That's a shame, as they have pulled the wool over a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
I think they did use it as a test. Let's have a look here. Yeah, Ben's saying here they did it on the cheap with little investment. Yeah, I completely agree there. Chelsea Rooney applied for jewelry on Whatnot last week, not open for that category yet. Yeah, so I see Chris is in, and Chris was actually talking about Whatnot the other day, about how he actually got in contact with them, and they let him on the platform to sell other things as well. So for you posh sellers, and Chris recommended this in the live, it might be worth getting in touch with Whatnot. Unfortunately, everyone's going to be doing that right now. So I would jump on that boat as quick as possible. But as I said, George, I think Whatnot will act. I can honestly see it happening. I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of days if Whatnot didn't put out a huge post basically saying, like, come over to us. Because, they've kind of seen that there's a lot of people in the UK interested in live aspect. And it seems that they have the systems in place already in the UK. They're doing it with the cards, they're doing it with other stuff as well. So, but Chris is saying Depop and Etsy will be next to bite the dust. So again, not platforms I'm familiar with. I know of them, but I've never sold on them. But you went to a Depop event the other day, George. I know there's probably stuff you can't say because of things you've had to say, but you came away feeling quite positive about the Depop changes.
Yeah, like there's something that I can't say, which I know is going to be really big coming into next year, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. They can sue me because I had to sign an NDA. But
George.
There's something coming through. I'm too pretty for prison. But there was something that they've got planned, and they've been very quick to adapt when something's happened in the market. Like they were very quick during like the pandemic and everything. But so when I was at there, I asked them, it's like, will you be doing live auction selling? like a certain platform that's making waves. I'm basically saying Poshmark's here. Where are you? Kind of thing. And they were like, oh, well, it's something we've talked about, but we're watching this space. So unless they knew that something was going to happen, or they were waiting for Poshmark to either completely invest in the UK market or completely pull out, I think we'll be getting a few movements in Depop coming into next year, I think. Because if they've seen it's like gone, they could be like, oh, it's an opening that we've been looking for. So, like you said, I think Whatnot, they've got the infrastructure there. But I think eBay have got the views and they've got the eyes, but Depop is like, other than Vinted, are like the biggest sellers, online sellers at the moment.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Dig Vintage saying there, Etsy is their whole business. So yeah, fingers crossed, Dig. Nothing does happen, but I think it is that case. And you know, it's easy for me to say, but all my eggs are in the eBay basket. But I feel quite secure on eBay. I mean, you hear stories about people getting kicked off eBay, absolutely. And I think if that ever happened to me, I would then need to find a way to pivot. But I do feel secure on eBay. And I know a lot of us will moan about the bads of eBay, but this kind of thing actually shows how secure a platform like eBay is to a lot of people. So I'm glad people haven't, because I must admit, all of the posh sellers that I speak to have not completely stopped doing eBay. They're doing posh alongside eBay. And they might have took their focus off eBay slightly, but now they can just add their focus back into it. So I think a lot of people are going to be okay. I think the people who are going to struggle are the people who have gone straight into posh and don't like the whole, you know, listing aspect on eBay. Because I think that's what appealed to a lot of people in live selling. You know, you kind of have an item in hand, you can sell it straight away and it's quick moving. So, yeah, hopefully people find a way to pivot. Chelsea Rooney saying also, how could they compete with no fees from Vinted while charging 20%? Yeah, that was always a big thing, wasn't it, about how high the percentage was. But I also look on eBay and think for clothing, once you've done that and the promotions, I'm probably around a 20% most of the time anyway. So it didn't really worry me too much about the 20%. But you're right, Vinted is the fees go to the buyer, don't they, on Vinted? But I know with Vinted, and what I will say to people, be super, super, super careful selling on Vinted, because George Ross openly said about how he got banned on there for selling items. They're not huge on resellers, but I think, again, what I've heard from Vinted, there is plans to actually make like a Vinted business, that kind of thing. I've seen some stuff.
It's already available in France at the moment.
Oh, okay. So it probably will hit over here quite soon then.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Here we are. So Katie is saying, I heard that Etsy are bringing out live selling. I'm not sure if that's America first or to bring it to the UK as well. I think most of these platforms do test out in America and Canada because they're bigger than UK, Australia, etc., etc. So, yeah, I think it would hit the US before it comes to the UK. But who knows? You know. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so people talking, Chelsea really saying about lots of message and got the fob off of lack of marketing plan. Yeah, that was the message I kept hearing from people, because I was asking the question, you know, when are we going to see the TV ads? Because as I said, you see the Vinted apps, you see the eBay ads, but you never see anything posh related. So,
or even on TikTok, it's cheap to run ads on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that what Depop did for a spell?
Yeah, they did. They advertised quite. I mean, even although Twitter isn't, I don't class Twitter, or X it's called now, as a big platform anymore personally. But even on that, it wouldn't be hard for them to really plug it hard on there. And I mean, Facebook advertising is free, or it's so cheap anyway. But when there was nothing going into it, I just felt like, well, you know, they're either not wanting to push it, or their test is, let's see how well it can do with no marketing and make our judgment on that. That's where I think they probably got to. Hi, Lisa, by the way. Soulstep says, mate, poor marketing, never seen any advertising. I see Depop viewing figures are dropping so fast also. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I know Depop went for a stage of where it was on decline, but again, I'm not going to push George for anything because I don't want to get in trouble, but it sounds like things could be changing. So I guess watch your space when it comes to Depop.
Fingers crossed. I'm not a big Depopper either. I'm a very small Depopper, but my sales have been going up constantly every month. It's been the only platform where I've like been going up and up. So
yeah, they are married to reselling. Are you gonna maybe eBay gum is the way? Maybe that is the way now. Maybe we should all pivot onto there. If anyone wants to come and join the live chat, by the way, I did put it in the chat. I've pinned the StreamYard link at the top. So yeah, feel free to come and join. Even if you've never spoke to me before, come and have a chat. If you are a Posh seller, great. If you're not, great. Come and speak about it. Come and speak about the reasons why you never went on to Posh at the time. The only reason I didn't is because I want to be on one platform, and that's my sole aim. But if I was going to join another platform, it would have been Posh, because I do like the live selling aspects. I think it's got some legs there for sure. Let me just catch up on the chat here. Sorry, I'm quite far behind. Here we go. Chris saying, I'm really enjoying Whatnot right now, but who's to say that couldn't end at any point before it's even begun? Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing here. They could just take it away, because it feels like overnight, isn't it? I mean, how many weeks until they completely close down? What is it, 2 weeks? A week?
26th, so it's a week, yeah.
So you're basically on a week's notice. And, you know, I feel sorry for the people who have brought stock predominantly just to list on Poshmark, because I know people who would have gone out and brought stock to say, do you know what, I probably can't move this on eBay, but Posh, I probably could shift it. And they're the people I feel real sorry for. You know, what are they going to do with that? Which is why it's interesting to see how people move and pivot over the next couple of weeks, really. You know, are we going to see in the next week lots more live shows on Posh where people are literally going live for an hour, breaking for an hour, going live for an hour again just to clear this stuff? I think it's going to be a busy time in the next week on Posh. Do you still plan to do a show now, George? Are you a case of, do you know what, like, forget it now?
No, I think I was going to do one tomorrow night, but now I've literally just done all the pictures properly for these things that I was going to sell on Poshmark. But like, yeah, I think I'll just put them on eBay and Depop, and I'll be done with it. But there's a few people who like go on Poshmark and do like, it's very community based, isn't it? And I think it is I've forgotten the name. Is it Riley Resells? Yeah. I saw her live and on her stories on Instagram, and yeah, she gets a lot out of Poshmark and a lot of, you know, community kind of stuff. And yeah, I'd recommend like just try selling through Instagram. I know it sounds a bit kind of scary,
yeah,
because that's kind of like, there is a function for you to do that, and also there's a function now on TikTok as well. So
yeah, that's another thing I want to mention about as well. It's been quite hot in the press recently with TikTok shops, how they're really going to start pushing home. So I can see a lot of stuff happening with them very soon. So yeah, there's going to be plenty more opportunity to live sell. But like George is saying there, you could always just go on Instagram and do a live for an hour and sell your items. I've sold a few items on Instagram from my stories where you just get the person to send you over via PayPal. And people are pretty good with that, especially if you're like a known reseller where you're not going to scam them out of the money, you know. So yeah, there is ways to pivot. Talking of Sam, here she is. It was all good, Sam. I was just talking about the conversations we had about the lack of marketing when you were asking the questions, but hope you're good. Peter Ray is in. I'm just catching up. There we go. This would be a great opportunity for Vinted to launch their Seller Pro for us in the UK. Yeah, I can see a lot of these platforms making moves in the next couple of days. As I said earlier, I think I reckon Whatnot's going to open the doors. I really do. And I think if they don't, that's a real missed opportunity for them. And then I would kind of ask myself, is Whatnot ever going to come to the UK fully? Because yes, we know you can do cards on there. I think you can do some other categories as well, but clothing's not one. So it'll be interesting to see what they've done. Here we go. Peter Ray saying, I sold one thing on Poshmark just after it was in the UK, and in the end, they made me wait over a month for money, so gave up. Yeah. Again, I've heard stories of that, and you will hear a lot more stories now come out that it's closing down, where people have had to really fight to get paid out quite quickly. Did you sell anything from your closet, George, or literally like didn't have the chance to sell anything?
I've sold a couple of things. I sold something on a live stream at in IRL event in Manchester. That was my first thing that I've sold. Then I sold something to Pick Me Up Lucky,
Oh
again
yeah,
on
good.
an IRL kind of, not an IRL, but like a co-host thing. I sold something on Sam's Poshmark Live the other day, and
Yeah.
I sold literally my first full asking item today, ironically. So I think a lot of people are trying to spend their credit. So
Yeah, I was going to say it's a good opportunity to still keep active on there, especially with the live. I think for the next week, people should still be doing the live shows for that reason. A lot of people have got credit they need to spend now, so a lot of people are going to be in the live shows just dropping that credit. So yeah, I'd still recommend people for the next week, but just make sure you get the money out, because again, you've heard horror stories of platforms closing and people struggling for years to get the money. Yorkshire reseller says, I put Depop on hold, sales slowed for me, main selling us on eBay, and if not shifting, drop onto Vinted lower price due to no fees. Still make profit and find it's working well for you. And that's the absolute key there. You need to find the platform you like to sell on and you're going to sell on. But then I also do think it's good to have that secondary way of clearing stock. Now, for me, it's like the car boot sale. If stock is not shifting, I will take it down the car boot sale. And if you've seen any of my videos, normally after about 2 hours, I get bored and give it all away anyway. So, yeah, it's good to find that secondary platform. Yeah, Alison, this was my first thought earlier. And as I said, this news broke on George's stream. So George is to blame really on this. But I agree. I feel so bad for all the people who have put so much time and effort to be dumped on like this. Yeah. And as I said, firsthand, I saw and know the effort that some people put in. And like anything, like with YouTube and the videos you see, sometimes you see a 20-minute YouTube video and you think, oh, that's only took them 20 minutes to do. But it's all the prep work, it's all the editing, it's all the putting it out there, it's dealing with everything afterwards and stuff. Same for the posh shows. These people have very much been like putting so much effort into it. Let's have a look here. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down in case I've missed anything in the chat here. Okay, so Sam's Adventures saying, never had one organic sale on my sales, were all live. So did you have any organic sales at all, Josh? That was another thing I heard earlier. Adam at the Flip Room went live on Instagram earlier, and he was saying all he was hearing from people that they were kind of shocked when they had the organic sale.
Yeah, I mean, my organic sale was literally about 5 minutes after the announcement. So someone obviously saw the announcement, thought, right, I'm just going to spend some money, get some deals. So I'm shocked that I made a sale, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know whether just to clear out my wardrobe, like delete it or. Yeah, someone's saying there, I emptied my posh wardrobe a few months back. I had about 10 organic sales, but I just couldn't be bothered with the lives. My main platform is Depop and cross-list to eBay. Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Emptied my Poshmark a few months ago. Yeah, because I heard a few people who kind of signed up for Posh at the early stages and left because they kind of had the hint that actually, do you know what, this isn't going anywhere. So, see, I feel this is, again, like you, George, I feel people for you guys, like, just got approved as a live seller yesterday. Like, imagine going through all of that and getting excited, feeling like, because there was quite a lot of boxes you had to tick, wasn't it? Like number of shares and sales. So imagine going through all of that, like you, George, getting excited, feeling like, great, I'm doing live, and that's why I've done all this work because I want to go live. And then suddenly it's like, yeah, you've got a week to go live now. Good luck.
Well, it's weird because you had lots of things to jump, whole like rings to jump through and everything. But because I went to the IRL event, they cleared me for lives automatically. I just had to put my name down and my wardrobe name down, and they cleared me for live, so I didn't need to jump through all those hoops. So I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, I'll ease myself into it because I thought it was going to stay here for a long time. I thought the way that they were talking about it, it's going to be here for like the foreseeable. And so you plan ahead. Like I was going to do themed, like you say, like the Halloween one. I had a whole trick or treat kind of situation going on.
Yeah.
But no, not going to be able to do that. I might have to do it on my live instead. Screw you, Poshmark.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. You might just have to do like you done the other night, and it was really good. And no, it's for charity and stuff, but just going live and doing an auction. A little plug: I'm doing an auction thing for charity as well, and I got the idea from you, George. To be fair, but I think even that, like Nick and Andrea do it quite well. on their auction thing. They go live on a Sunday and they do a live auction. So yeah, use the platforms you have access to, and even Instagram is great. If you've got stuff to sell, put yourself on Instagram live and just try and sell it directly through there. There's plenty of people who'll be interested. So yeah, it's just a shame because it was a nice platform where you could sell it and it was all kind of organized. We didn't have to worry about, oh, can you send me this money to this PayPal address, etc. It was nice and easy. So Chris saying here, I would just get your money out of Poshmark now and don't bother trying to scrape sales in the next week and risk losing the money. Yeah, I agree. I think withdraw your money. And if you want to do any sales, I tell you now, at the end of every sale, I am withdrawing that straight away. I'm not leaving anything in there until the last couple of days because, they might close down. There might be some terms and conditions that no one spotted, which might say any money left in will be lost. And it's straight away, you've lost the money. So yeah, absolutely. Withdraw the money now. Leave this live stream and withdraw your money.
What I liked about the Poshmark thing is when you put in the amount of you wanted to sell it or at a discount, it showed you your profit. So it showed you the amount you would get after they've taken their fee and everything. And so you could kind of adjust your price accordingly. That was a really good feature. And I think eBay should do that as well.
Yeah. So Lucy's in, she's saying the same, can only be one platform, eBay, but we occasionally put stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I'm like, have a second platform to shift slow moving stuff. But I've always been very much focused on one platform. Rich is in, hope you're good. Hope you're doing well, mate. Not sure if I'll be at Apps Court. I don't know if you're there on Sunday, but the weather looks awful this weekend. So I'm not sure whether there's going to be any more car boot sales this weekend. Bit of doom and gloom to add to the woes today. Here we go. So Shelston Rooney saying I had 210 sales. I think 2 were not through shows, but they were from someone who has bought from me for years. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure about 100 of those were for me, Shell.
Yeah, probably so. But I must admit, I was finding that on the live shows, and I've gone in there and I've brought some stuff because I'm supporting the person. I don't mind admitting that. Michelle knows I went in and brought a whole bundle of Claire's accessories bits, and she messaged me after. She's like, "What the hell are you going to do with these?" And I was like, "I'll find somewhere for them to go." I like going in there, and Mark's the same. I brought some stuff from Mark, and actually I kept both the items. They were good items, and he messaged me afterwards. He said, "Oh look, I know you've only brought them out of sympathy for me," and I was like, "No, genuinely, like they're good items." But there'd be times I would go into the shows and bid on things just because I know the effort that goes into it. And let's not kid ourselves, George. You've done the same when I'd done the share thing. You didn't want them Millennium Dome stuff. You've done it because you're supporting people. And that's what I was seeing. I was just seeing the same names in the shows, and they were all resellers. It'd be very rare I'd see a name where I would say to myself, like, "Oh, that's a new name. I don't recognize that name in the community." Which is great because I think the community aspect is perfect. But I think, it all comes down to that. And we spoke about it many a times. It's all down to the marketing. If they would have
not a point in just resellers selling to each other, you need the general public as well.
Yeah. So, if they would have marketed it, you would have got the general public in there. As I say, like Vinted are pushing hard now with the Big Brother adverts. You're getting now the resellers who all know about Vinted. Like the opportunity for us to buy stuff is higher now because you're getting lots of the general public come on and say, "Oh, that's a platform I can sell my stuff on." What do you mean there's no fees? So you're going to get that crowd in. So yeah, absolutely. So what else you got planned then, George? Now you haven't got your live show. What else is coming up for you in your world? How's your reselling business going? What's going on with you?
Ooh, well, yeah, it's going all right. I'm trying to clean out my garage. And I've got garage. Yeah, and my garage. I've got so much stuff over there. I cleaned it out on that 24-hour live thing. I cleaned out a lot of it, but then I piled it on again. So I need to just clear it out, and I want to decorate properly there because I've ordered some stuff off Temu, and it's basically like new background stuff. So I've got a big board of MDF, and I've already got a background on it, and it's quite nice. It's like distressed wood, but I'm going to switch it up a bit. I've got some panels that you pull the sticky tape off and you just stick it to, and it looks really good. So I've got to do that, and I've got just new backgrounds for me for my eBay and Depop now. I was going to use it for Poshmark as well, but not anymore.
No.
Just a couple of videos coming out as well. Yeah. That?
Temu, that's a new one to me. I've just googled it.
You've not heard of Temu?
Is it like Wish?
Yeah, but better.
Wish, but well, it's not hard, is it? Let's be
Well,
honest.
it's all
Sorry
going
to
to
anyone
the.
who loves Wish, by the way, but
It's all
Okay.
going to the Chinese government probably, but it doesn't matter.
no, who cares? Oh, there's some cool arthritis gloves you can get here. Winter warm arthritis, £1.39.
They have some amazing deals. It's all like plastic wrap.
Oh, of course, it's like anything, isn't it? But
I've got a giant Halloween coffee mug somewhere.
if anyone wants some 1 million, I don't think it's actually Pack Rabanne, but it's 1 million perfume set, £8.49. Wow. Okay, maybe you shouldn't have told me about this site. I reckon it's going to be a deep hole. Oh, is this from the site?
Yeah, I got it for $2.99.
What, is that delivered?
Yeah, for free postage because I ordered like £30 worth. I got like loads of stuff. So, but I got a coffee mug as well, like not a coffee mug, but like a tumbler. And it's huge. It's like a litre. I bloody love it, and it's got like pumpkins on it. I really love it. Sorry.
It's good. I'm going to have to check out this site. I'm sure I'm going to spend some money myself. Ian's in. Hope you're good, Ian. JR's in. Hope you're good, James. Come on, everyone. 45 plus watching. 10 likes. Smash that like button for this legend. I guess they're talking about you, the legend. But yeah, smash the like button for George, please. Hi, Craig. Hope you're good. Lucy's asking, look, you've got people started now. Have you got the link for the background as we buy off Temu? He might not want to share it, Lucy, because if you start copying his background, he's not the original one.
If you type in Temu, if you just put like wall panels, it'll come up with loads of different types of panels, and you can there's hundreds of different types, and they've got like loads of different colors and like patterns and stuff. There's loads, and they come in like I don't know what's it, but they're quite chunky as well. They're really good. But definitely give it a
chat. And it's weird. It's come up a weird link. It's safe though. I've just typed in wall panels, and there is lots of options. So
yeah.
Now, Lucy, click on that one. Fingers crossed, I'm giving you a virus, and if you do, you can come at me later on as well.
Also, like rugs and stuff. If you've got like Shell, she photographed some of her stuff on her rugs. It's like a rainbow, and it's really cool. But they've got like rugs there as well, like really big ones, but they're really lightweight, so you can roll them up. So if you're like a flat out, like do like prefer flat out lays, they're really good for that to just do different backgrounds and stuff. Yeah. I've got one of them.
If anyone's got any reselling related questions or YouTube questions or any questions for George and I, chuck them in the chat and we will get them answered. I know the breaking news is about the Posh show, but we're here to talk about eBay and other sites as well. So if you guys have anything you want to know, let us know. I haven't had a chance to congratulate you personally, George, on hitting the 1,000 subs on YouTube, which is incredible. How have you found it since? Have you been earning the big money?
I mean, I'm rolling in it. That's what it is. I'm absolutely rolling in it. Can't you tell?
That's why you're buying backgrounds on Temu, because you're making all that big YouTube money.
That's what it is. Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? As soon as I got literally the day I got monetized when I was in Essex, I released a video and it got 10,000 views. Guarantee it was like a short, but still it was 10,000 views on a short, and it brought in a very healthy sum of 56p.
Yeah, they're harsh. They're harsh on the shorts money. I think you need like millions of views to actually make it worth the money with the shorts. But I like the shorts aspect. But I was looking the other day, and I know you put out a post about this as well. I put out a short on TikTok, and I put the same short on YouTube, and the difference in views is incredible. Like the short market on TikTok is so huge, and I think it was for the Crime Channel. I think my short on the Crime Channel, I think it only got about 200 or 2,000 views. I think it was in the end, and on TikTok it's on like 35,000. It's such a huge difference. Like, why can't it be switched around and stuff? So I went to Oxfam Giant Charity Shop and nearly died from the shock of the prices. Yeah, charity. Let's talk charity shops. That's always a controversial subject. Do you still source a lot in charity shops, and how do you find them?
I do. I always source in charity shops. I mean, if it's an avenue to get new stock, why not? But we went to Altrincham at Jumble Sale. In fact, the video is out probably now.
Let's plug it. Video out.
Bit of plug. But I met up with Chica and Sam, and we went to Altrincham Jumble Sale. I believe Car Boot Chris was there as well. And then we went to we walked around Altrincham charity shops, and I found a very nice Dolce & Gabbana tie for $9.99, and it's a peekaboo tie with a naked lady on the other side. And apparently they are worth a little bit more than the average fare of a tie, so I was quite happy with that. And I found some toast as well. Yeah, some good ones.
Let's grab your video. Oh, here we go. I'm going to link your video into the...
Has it actually gone live now? Because I don't know. It was being a bit of a pain earlier.
Yeah, an hour ago. There we are. I'm going to link it in. Hi, Chris. Hope you're good.
You all right, guys?
Yeah, good. I just want to say hello to I'm a Reseller, who is one of my two members. One of my two members is paying the 99p, bless him. So I need to shout him out quickly. But how are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
What's your thoughts then? What's your thoughts on the breaking reselling news?
Right,
if you go on Instagram, that's literally every single story I was clicking is like same story. So obviously it's big in the UK. What's your thoughts on it? Because you are a live seller, but you never went down the posh route. What was your reasons behind that?
Well, I started off. I signed up with Poshmark immediately, the same as everybody else. But the minute I saw that you had to do 1 million shares, you had to like everybody's posts. You got to put it on Instagram. I just thought I can't be doing with that. I just can't be bothered with it. It was just too much hard work. So I left it. I listed one item. It never sold, and I left it. I left it be. And I think it was, I don't know, maybe a similar time that Whatnot sort of came to the UK. It was around Christmas. Well, Whatnot was around Christmas time, wasn't it? So I signed up to Whatnot and heard nothing, the same as everybody else. So I reached out to them on Instagram and sort of explained like what YouTube channel I have and what following I've got on Instagram. And they kind of wanted to do a video call with me, like a Zoom call, and have a chat about it. I think they're being very, very selective right now on who they bring on the platform. So I think they're kind of just a very slow rollout whilst they iron out all and any issues that are popping up on Whatnot in the UK, with it being such a new way to sell. So I opted to go the Whatnot route because I'd watched quite a bit. I already had the app downloaded on my phone before it even got announced in the UK, because I used to watch some of them in the US.
Yeah.
You know, there's some of them, you know, are making full-time livings out of Whatnot on its own. So I decided to opt down that route. And when we had this call, it was really positive. And they just told me straight away on the call that, yeah, we'll get you onboarded, is what they called it. Mm-hmm. And they basically opened every category to me. So clothing, jewelry, toys, pops, trading cards, anything you can think of, every single category is open to me. Yeah. And I've tried a few different bits. Things have worked and some things haven't. But the problem at the moment with Whatnot is that there's not huge numbers of people on the platform at the moment. Yeah. So they want you to bring a following with you. They want you to bring your YouTube viewers. They want you to bring your Instagram people across, mm-hmm. To try and help grow it organically, a little bit like what Poshmark have tried but have failed. But they don't require you to share the life out of the system. And at the moment, I think like Shelster was saying before, there's only so much you can rely on your followers for. And it's a little bit like that with Whatnot. But I'm starting to see a tipping point with new people who I don't recognize coming into the shows, and like sales coming from people who I know and who are buying because they support me, which is very much appreciated. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for at the minute is that tipping point. And that's when it becomes a bit more organic, when you start getting sort of new people sort of buying off you and Whatnot. But I'm really enjoying it, to be honest with you. It's it is hard work. Like, when was my last one? Was it last night?
Yeah, you done one. Was it last? I think it was last night. Yeah.
Last night, yeah, I did one, and it went for about 3 hours, and I was like exhausted afterwards. It is really hard work. Really hard work. It's like QVC for 3 hours. It's hard. And I did 613 quid in 3 hours. Now I've had eBay weeks that have failed to reach that.
Absolutely. And
to do that in kind of 3 hours is immense. Really, the potential is massive.
Yeah, I
would really look forward to them. It'd be nice when they open it up a little bit more to some more people, to try and bring some more people to the platform.
Do you think that, like we spoke about earlier, do you think this is the point where they might look to do that? They might see an opportunity where, do you know what, there's lots of people who have been keen to sell on a live platform. Maybe it's the opportunity for us to kind of open the doors a little bit to them and get them in to kind of push it a bit more. Because again, that is all organic marketing. You can imagine all the people today who have been told about this news for Posh, suddenly tomorrow are saying, don't worry to all their followers, I'm going to be over on Whatnot next week. Live shows continue as normal. I think
it would be great. It would be a great marketing ploy from them to do that.
Yeah.
It's whether they've got the infrastructure, I suppose, behind it to cope with it. Because I think at this moment, because a lot of people have inquired to Whatnot, and even Whatnot have spoke to me via email, because I at the very start, within the first few months, I had a point of contact at Whatnot. Like, any questions, any help you need, any issues, come to me via email. I'll sort it out. And at that point, they were saying to me, you know, have you got any recommendations? So I put some names forward. I'm not going to mention any names, because a couple of people come to me and said, you know, like, can you try and get me on? But it feels like they've closed the door a little bit at the minute. I don't know why, but it would be good if they jumped on it. I think it would be a shrewd move to do that right now. You know, at least open the door to a few, get a few more on.
Yeah. Shelster Rooney saying, Chris, what are the fees on Whatnot?
It's the actual Whatnot fee is 8%. And then there's a per sale fee, like a transaction fee of about 30-40p. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's a 2.9% like processing fee. So it works out about 11%. But you got to be really careful. If you're selling items less than £5, that 30p per transaction can bump up your percentage a bit. Yeah, like, especially if you're willing to do £1 starts, and some things go for £1, £2. Like, sometimes it's happened to me right at the start. £1 sales, that's 30p minus 11%. You're left with less than 50p. You know, around 50p left.
Yeah, I do like the format of Whatnot, because you can start it at £1. I think that was the one thing I always looked at Posh to say they're missing a trick there. Because a lot of people do like that fire sale for £1. And yeah, if you've got, I don't know, I'll give an example. If you've got a pair of Tesco jeans and you're putting onto Poshmark and you're starting at £5, a lot of people are not going to be interested in buying them for £5. Where if you were doing like a fire sale, let's start the bidding at £1, and you had I've got it sitting here. So you've got a GoPro, and you're going to start the bidding at £1, and you've advertised for a while that you're going to be doing this live show, and you're going to be starting a GoPro at £1. You'll probably end up getting more money for that GoPro than you would if you listed it on eBay, because people get carried away with the auction format. But I agree with what you're saying there, Chris. I think you need to have a following, and I don't even think that's a YouTube following, because you could have a decent social media following without doing YouTube, like especially with Instagram now. Say hello to a few people. Simon's in, hope you're good. Kathy's in saying, happy Thursday, what's all this about Poshmark? Yeah, what's this breaking news? There we go. That's amazing. Fingers crossed it keeps growing for you. Yeah, absolutely. I know you've been doing it for quite a while, and you've spoke quite openly about like how much you've earned doing that compared to like a week on eBay. So what category, you kind of mentioned, Chris, that some categories have been doing better for you. What categories have you felt have done really well? Is it the toy category compared to the clothing? What have you found in the toys?
Pretty much toys, figures, collectibles at the minute. I know nothing about trading cards, so there's no point in me going on there and trying to sell trading cards. I ain't got a clue. I don't even know what a box break is. You know, I haven't got a clue about that. But when I first started, the first few shows, I did some different categories. I did like figures and toys, and then I did some American sportswear, like American, like NFL tops and college gate stuff and all that. That just didn't work. That didn't work at all. Stuff wasn't selling. Things were going for £2. It just didn't work. So I never did that again. And I'm not sure whether the audience wasn't big enough in the UK for that bit of a niche market. You know, maybe if the platform had more people on, might have got a few more people involved in that. I've also done like clothing, like t-shirts. That's done all right, you know, like sort of TV movie t-shirts and stuff like that. Like pop culture, I think, is where it's at on Whatnot. Anything pop culture is what sells, I think.
And I mean, I've had a little look at the platform with regards to, like you're saying, about the box breaks and the card shows. And I don't know, again, I'm the same as you, Chris. I don't have a clue about trading cards or anything. But even joining them shows, there's some times where they'll say, right, you know, let's bid on the next pack of cards. And I've been tempted to bid. I've got no interest, but they make it such a hype and you feel like, I want to be part of this. And they're like, oh, in this pack, you could win this card, which is worth X amount. And you start thinking like, oh, it's like a gamble, isn't it? So I feel with any live selling, you need to have that. You need to have that personality about you. And I don't think having a YouTube channel is enough to do the live selling. I think you need to have that bit about you where you can interact, you can be quite entertaining at times as well. And again, Chris, similar to you, I've been in some of your live shows before, and it's not you just sitting there saying, right, next up, we've got this Funko Pop. You need to like be excited about it, because that's what get the audience really hyped as well.
I think you do need to have a bit of oomph, you know, a bit of something.
I'm just seeing if we've got any more Whatnot questions, because now we've got the Whatnot. Because I would say UK wise, apart from like the big trading card people, I think you're the only YouTuber I know doing Whatnot.
I think I'm the only one who's open to. I don't know why.
Well, they've given it to you, kind of.
I think they give it me, like, and then they decided just to shut it down to everyone. I don't know why. There was actually a point, like about 5 shows in, like 5 weeks in, where I lost all the categories, disappeared off my phone. Like when you go to list an item or to list an auction, all the categories are gone. And I contacted Whatnot and said, what's going on? So I don't know whether that was the point when they had a change of policy, but they opened it all back up to me anyway, because I had this conversation with my contacts. I said, look, we're doing all right. You know, why have you closed them down? And they opened it all back up. And ever since, I can sell in any category, which I don't know anybody else who can do that. And it's a bit weird. It's nice to know that. And whilst I'm the first one, I'm able to build my profile.
Yeah.
You know, I've made over 800 sales on Whatnot already. 800 sales. That's a bloody lot of sales.
It's a lot.
And
the live selling platform, that's huge actually. You think about that, because like you say there, it's the drain as well. Because one of my questions were going to be to you, Chris, and Chelsea Rooney's saying there she's verified her ID last week, but I said they weren't open to jewelry yet. Have you been tempted to kind of push more than the Posh shows you're doing? Because at the sorry, not Posh, Whatnot shows you're doing? Because at the moment you do one every sort of couple of weeks, don't you? You don't do one.
One every week.
Okay, so every week. Have you considered kind of pushing that to 2 or 3 shows a week, or is it a case of you just can't source enough stock for that, or actually is it just a drain? Because
I thought about it. At the moment, is a couple of issues. Firstly, I don't want every evening of my week taken up with this stuff, because there's a very fine balance between work and life, and I'm always more on the life balance. So we do a Monday night show, then I'm either Tuesday or Wednesday on Whatnot, and giving up another night at the moment, I don't want to do it. But the other flip to that is sourcing enough stock to do it. At the moment, okay, I can source enough stock, you know, to do 1 show a week. But I have thought also about doing trading pins, you know, like Disney pins. Thought about that, because I could quite easily source that online. And, you know, I've bought big job lots of Disney pins from the US in the past and split them up and made some really good money on it. So it's kind of crossed my mind whether to try it and see. But I think at the moment, you really need to be on an evening rather than a daytime. You see some of the daytime whatnot shows, and they've got like 10, 15 people in. That's not enough to generate decent bids.
That was going to be my next question, because obviously I completely understand the evening, because I'm all for that. You know, you don't want to spend every single evening working, because then you've got no social life, you've got no actually like family life as well. And like throughout the day, you can probably justify a bit more. But like you said there, the audience isn't there throughout the day. So you need to sort of do evenings for that sense as well. So do you sell anything overseas on Whatnot? As in, do you have like an American audience who might come in your shows and buy some stuff, or is it all UK based?
There's been a couple of sales overseas, but that's mainly been to people who are supporters of me and the channel.
Yeah.
But I have seen people come in and pop in and say, have you got XYZ? I'm in the US, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, have you got anything horror? Have you got certain pop figures? You know, that kind of thing. They come in, they'll ask the question and go, because I probably haven't got it. But yeah, I think obviously the shipping fees are prohibitive to that, because, you know, I think Whatnot charge around like 20 quid or something to ship a pop to the US. So it's quite a lot. You've got to really want it, and it's got to be a decent pop that they can't get over there to pay that.
Aaron's here saying, I've seen American video game resellers talking about how successful Whatnot is for them. So have you done any video games and consoles on your shows? Have you found that quite successful? Or
not consoles? No, I have had, because the way I operate it, I have like a wall, and I have mixed items on this wall, like normally about 12 different items. It could be, it's all pop culture. So there's mostly figures and toys, but random items, maybe the odd hat, a t-shirt might be behind it back. Like last night, I had some t-shirts on there. And when you're bidding for the chance to pick something that's currently on view on the wall at the time of bidding. So whoever wins the bidding, right, what do you want? Tell me what you want. Okay, you want that pop figure. So take that off the wall. It goes in their bag, and it gets ready for shipping the next day.
Yeah.
And then I get something out of my stock to replace that, and it goes on the wall. And then we start again with the next bid. And that's how I'm doing it at the moment. It seems to work really well. It seems to work better than when I first started. I would stand in front of the camera and go, right, here's what you're bidding on. Start the bids, and then you do the description, show it, and all that business.
So that's what's called bias? Is it called bias choice? Is it called bias choice and Whatnot? Is that what it's called? Where you
I suppose you could call it that. I don't know what it's called really. I just call it the wall, but I stole it from another Whatnot seller because it looked like a good idea, so I just stole it and ran with it. You know, so
I think it's a good idea to have that in the background and kind of say all of these items are available. So let's go first. First bid, you get to choose first. And I guess what happens then, Chris, you're probably seeing your early bids are quite high, and then probably throughout the night they get lower and lower as the things disappear.
It does, but there's two ways to do it. You can either start off with your strongest wall, put all your best items right up at the front, and I've tried that, and it does work, because then what you do is you get people bidding, but people are bidding with a mind of different things.
Yeah.
Not just one thing. So they're bidding on different things. So that means that for 5 or 6 levels of bids, quite high, because people still want what's on the wall.
And they're all bidding each other.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, George. Yeah. Or you can have a mixture on the wall of lower value and higher value. And then you just see people fighting for 1 or 2 items.
Sure.
And then later in the show, like an hour later, you might put another banger in. But what you see at that point is that you've got mostly lower value stuff left, and everyone just goes for the new item that's just arrived. And that's sense. How it kind of works.
But it keeps the interest high. And like you say, you probably get people as well with any live show dip in and out. So they might not be there right at the start. So the banger you bring out later on, they might think that's the best thing you've had all night. Simon's got a question. I'm going to let you two answer. Do you think eBay is still king? I haven't seen anything even close.
Let George answer, because I've been talking way too much.
Yeah, George, you've got to speak now. Let us have a break.
Oh no, yeah, I think it is, and I think it's going to be. I think you can see the engagement between certain platforms and how eBay's monthly average users is actually going down. But if you look at what's actually happening, it's just leveling out because of the pandemic. It's still everyone's all over the place. So when they say like, oh, like Poshmark or Depop or Vinted, they're eating into eBay's viewerships. Like, yeah, on the app, but not on the on desktop. Desktop's actually going higher. So it's just they've just switched. That's all. But yeah, I think eBay's still king, and I think it's going to be here forever.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. eBay is the most organized. We might slag it off, right? But it's organized. It's relatively safe, 99.99% safe to operate on. They are bringing out new features all the time. They're trying to improve the platform. They invest in it. They invest in advertising. That's obviously that is massive. Well, Poshmark balls it up, haven't they?
Yeah.
And you criticize eBay, but when everyone else fails, eBay is still there going and going and going. They've been going since, what is it, 1996 or something like that?
Yeah.
Mid-90s they've been going since. I mean, I've been on eBay since the year 2000, and it's changed a lot, but it's still there. It's still essentially the same thing.
I think around 2000, because I remember buying some stuff when I was quite young on eBay. Was at the time of the old postal checks, where you had to send a postal check in the post, had to clear.
No checks. Do you remember no checks?
Yeah. Before they shipped it, everything had to clear. And so we talk now about same-day dispatch, one-day dispatch, 3-day dispatch, etc. You had to wait weeks for that item to come through.
Can you imagine, right, if you go back to the year 2000, right, and say someone came to you and said, right, in the future, eBay is going to be like this, same-day dispatch, and you're going to just send stuff out, and then, all this. You wouldn't believe it, would you?
And it's crazy you say that.
Where's it going to be in 20 years from now?
But the year 2000, when people say that, it doesn't feel like it's long ago. When you think about 2000,
23 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's vintage now, isn't it? 2003 is classed as vintage.
Yeah, definitely.
Chelsea really saying, I saw an incredible winner's choice. Yeah, that's what it's called, winner's choice. I've heard that. Jewelry show in the US, the money changing hands so quickly was stunning. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's kind of like, right, next person to win, they get a choice of anything they see. Let's start the bidding. And it just runs crazy. I think it's...
That's how I was going to do my Disney thing on, Poshmark. See, you've even forgotten what it's called now.
Yeah, you're over it. You're over it now.
What were you going to be selling, George? What kind of stuff were you selling on there?
It was basically all my Disney stuff, all the rubbish, not rubbishy bits, but like plushies I just don't sell, or like toys and stuff. And there was some bits of clothing, but there was basically like I was just going to do a full-on Disney show, like probably 2 or 3 hours, and it was going to be called like Double Disney. So anybody they outbid each other, hopefully, but minimum is like £5. Well, £5, and then they can pick 2 toys on like my table. It's like a game almost. So that's how I was going to do it. With like Disney tunes in the background as well. I can't do it anymore.
Damn, you have to wait for whatnot.
Yeah, you can for the next week if you want to. Do you think the closing of Poshmark might cause people to lose confidence in other eBay rivals like Vinted? I don't believe so. I think it's probably going to put more confidence in the other platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I've mentioned it a lot of times, Vinted are working hard at the moment for advertising, and that is, like we've all spoke about, that is the one thing that Posh did not put literally anything into. Weren't like they've done a little bit of advertising, but maybe not as much. It just felt like there was nothing there from the start. All the advertising came from the people who were selling on the platform.
I'd love to see the difference, like what Poshmark spent on advertising in their first however many months it is, and then what Vinted spent in their first number of months.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all over TV. It was on Saturday night. Prime TV on the adverts, like Ant and Dec's Takeaway. There was Vinted adverts when they first started. That must have crippled them like financially for a long time.
I think the Posh advertising was a case of all of you Posh sellers come to this event in X, Y, and Z. We will talk about Posh, free bar, and then hopefully you'll go away and shout about it to the rooftops. And that can only work for so far because it's such a small audience. You know, a lot of these people, even with the Instagram following, you're only basically hitting resellers. And that's what happened, wasn't it? I mean, look at all the shows. 99.9% of people on the shows were other resellers.
Also,
And
I think like they've relied so much on this sharing and social media, right? This basically free advertising. They've relied so much on that it becomes oversaturated. It's like, you know, when you're on Instagram and you see, oh, it's another Poshmark ad, another Poshmark ad, another Poshmark. It's like it starts having a negative impact because it's saturated, and I think that's where they went wrong, obviously.
Yeah, there's someone who never sold a thing on Poshmark and just went to one of the events for the free bar. So yeah, Simon, you've done the best out of everyone. You had no stress and you just got a free drink. Right, we're going to have to end shortly, but before we'll get you to plug your stuff going on, guys. But Shelf's really saying everything can change. People don't predict the high street dying, Woolworths, Debenhams, etc. going under, and I think that is absolutely spot on. I think, you know, 10 years ago, you would never, well, maybe it's longer than 10 years now with Woolworths, but you would never think like a shop like Woolworths would close. Even things like Argos. Yeah, Toys R Us, Argos as well. I know Argos still exists, but you remember the days of going in at Christmas and the option was the Argos catalogue in store, and that is it. There was no Amazon to buy your stuff from, you know. So it does all change, it does all evolve, and I think Chelsea Rooney's right with regards to the high street. I can see a lot more of that high street shutting down. I honestly believe in 5 years' time the high street is not going to exist anymore because you hear about shops closing all the time. And what was the latest one? Wilko's, wasn't it? Wilko's closed down, and I saw people selling their Wilko's uniform on Vinted. They were trying to get 40 quid for us, or a Wilko's t-shirt on the other day on Vinted. But people will pay it because it's one of them things that people look back at and say, oh, I remember that time. JR saying, I remember when I used to be bar manager at Toby Carvery in Worthing going back 8 years ago. They paid for 2 to 3 weeks adverts for the Coronation Street was on. That was 1 million plus for an advert. Yeah, I think, don't underestimate how much advertising actually costs. It's a crazy amount. Right, I've got to wrap things up anyway, but plug your channels, guys. So, Chris, what is going on with you? What we got video-wise coming out? What has been released? When's your next Whatnot show? What's going to be on the show? Plug away.
Well, I normally put a video out on a Saturday for sure, and then sometimes a midweek one. So look out for Saturday. Whatnot next week will probably be Tuesday, because if football's on the Wednesday, I'll switch it for a Tuesday. If football's on Tuesday, I'll switch it to a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you can feel free to look me up, Car Boot Chris, on Whatnot. But also last week I did a video behind the scenes of a Whatnot show, and basically Belle filmed me doing the show, clips of the show. So if you want to see what it's like to run a Whatnot show, please go and have a look, because it took me ages to put that video together and it's performed really badly.
Let me go. I'm just getting your show up now, Chris. Let me plug that show, but please, or I'm sure you'll do, but please go and subscribe to Chris. But that is the video he is talking about, where he's gone behind the scenes. Isn't it annoying? Isn't it annoying, Chris? I know when I was speaking to Luke on Monday on Instagram about the whole YouTube thing, you were saying the same.
Yeah.
Car boots sell videos of the GoPro, they get the most views, and the videos you spend so much time putting effort in, and the ones that take longest to edit, they're always the ones which get lower views.
When I had that idea to make that video, I thought, oh, this will be a crack of this. And it just turned out, people who just didn't watch it. It's weird. It's weird.
They are. Lisa liked it at least.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you.
Please going to have a look. Just a quick one as well. Lucy is only 14 away from 700 subscribers. So please go and follow Lucy if you don't already. I might as well plug myself before George goes. I think about 70 subscribers away from 5,000 now, which is my yearly target. So again, if you don't subscribe to me and you want to, please go and do so. George, what's going on with you?
Nothing, I'm boring.
George is boring. Don't go and subscribe to George. Now he's got his 1,000 subs. He doesn't care for it anymore. So
yeah, I'm over it.
But jokes aside,
there's a video out today, so enjoy.
And George is live literally every day of the week, near enough.
No, not every day. I just end up doing like a ridiculously long marathon. I did one the other day that was like 4 hours. I was like, oh, might be doing one tomorrow, but hey, it made me do some work.
Yeah, and Chelsea Rooney's absolutely right. They're always the videos you're happiest with people like, nah, yeah, you need to do I was punched at the car boot sale video, and they get the most views and stuff. So, Chris, maybe we should set up. Maybe I should come and see you in Wales, and we can set up some drama, because that's going to get different. So let's do it.
Sure.
All right, thank you all. Thanks to everyone in the chat. George is about to go live now over on his YouTube channel, I'm sure. So, all head over to George and watch George's live stream. But Chris, thanks for popping in. George, thanks for popping in. And best of luck to all the people on Posh. Crap news, but I'm sure you're all going to pivot, and fingers crossed, Whatnot open the doors. So, right, thank you all. See you later.
Bye.